Porter County Commissioner now back in session. All right, does everyone have a seat, please? Ms. Shannon Venable from the school district.
Morning.
Good morning.
Shannon Venable, Director of Financial Services, Franklin County School District. On behalf of the Franklin County School Board, I'm here to request your authorization to place a half-mil referendum on the March 15, 2016 ballot. The district's objective is to continue to make available a portion of the existing capital ad valorem tax levy for essential operating expenses in order to preserve academic programs, retain highly qualified teachers, and protect arts, athletics, and student activities beginning July 1, 2016 and ending 4 fiscal years later, June 30th, 2020, with annual reporting to ensure proper fiscal stewardship of these funds to the citizens of Franklin County. The district intends to continue its reduced millage for capital projects and to continue to make available the equivalent amount for operations. The district tax revenue allocation, if moved from capital outlay, which is restricted to capital assets and construction, for example, to daily operating expenses, which immediately impact student education. As this is a tax neutral shift, there is no additional property tax levies to the taxpayers of Franklin County. This referendum has been enacted since 2008. The March 2016 ballot date is important because the school district begins budgeting for the next fiscal year in March or April 2016.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
I would want Mr. Shepard.
Yeah, I was going to him.
Yes, sir.
How did that go on the big ballot or the spring ballot?
The statute allows the general referendum or the local referendum to occur or at a general election. So I think in this case, my recommendation to the board would be to approve the request for the referendum, but give the discretion to the school board to either hold a local referendum or a general election. So I would recommend that be the motion that the board makes.
And the cost of this will be borne by?
The cost under the statute is borne by the school board itself. So I guess the motion would be to approve the request to send this matter to the ballot, leaving to the discretion of the school board whether to hold a local referendum or to conduct this at the general election, all costs of the election to be borne by the school board.
Okay.
So moved.
Have a motion? Have a second?
We'll have no other choice than just to allow them to take it to ballot.
I'll second it, but I have a question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
The additional funds for operation, is that just in your overall budget, or is that a separate item?
It is in the overall budget. Since 2008, we've been using the funds to pay salaries, buy school supplies, that sort of thing. What happens is if we do not move it, it stays in local capital improvement fund, and then we have to use it for construction items, remodel renovation, that type of items. We can't use it for daily operating expense, would be utilities, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you still are building some sort of reserves to do capital?
Yes, sir, we do have reserves. We had reserves built up before 2008, so we're still operating off those reserves. Yes, sir. We have we started this year with 4.6 million. After we do our capital expenditures and pay our school loan, we'll have 2.4 million in reserves.
One comment.
Yes, sir.
Before you call for the vote. I had some people in the public that, it's just suggestion, and I know it's all in here, but
Yes, sir.
as you go to your voter education as it's building up to the election, is to let them stress that you're renewing and not enforcing a new tax, but you're just renewing what you have already had in place. So you want to make sure you get that out to the public where they can understand it. I understand it, I'm sure they do, but the general public, which will be casting votes, need to know that you're just renewing something. You're not coming up with an additional, and I think that will work in your favor.
Yes, sir.
And the
Yeah.
fact that it's revenue neutral.
Yeah, because a lot of people worry the taxes is fixing to go up, just show them where you're just renewing out of one budget into the,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens, Franklin County. I just had a question for Shannon. Is if the 0.5 mil is renewed, is any of that shared with the ABC school?
The ABC school, they get part of our local capital improvement fund. They do get some of our FDFE funding, and this would be part of the FDFE funding. This this would be part of our total tax revenue. They do get a percentage of that.
Any more questions? All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Marshall?
I don't have a report.
Ms. Marshall?
Mr. Chair,
You clear?
I'm clear.
Mr. Allen?
Before we move down, Marcia, I wish you and your staff, and I know the board does,
A Merry Christmas.
And thank you for all y'all do for the board.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. This is my report for December 15th on restore activities. Inform the board that I spent all day on December 9th in Niceville at a meeting organized and sponsored by Florida's Great Northwest. The meeting was called because one of the Triumph board members, and I apologize, I don't know which one, has asked for a presentation on what would be the components of, this is the words I use, transformational change for Northwest Florida. And that is if and when Triumph funds are available to create such a transformational change in Northwest Florida. FGN is trying to position itself as a representative regional economic agency with Triumph. All 8 counties had staff representation, so for that reason I was glad I attended. The quick definition, as far as I'm concerned, of transformational change for the region is that it is a change so big that it will impact more than one county. And what they kept talking about using or creating was something called an OEM, and I didn't know what an OEM was, but OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, such as a car manufacturing plant, where a plant so large, employing so many people that it would be this huge impact in the community. Well, I mean, there might be some air components that would be OEM, where you have manufacturing, but I don't see that really happening. But anyway, that's what they were talking about: changes in economic development on that level, where one entity be creating thousands of jobs in one location. Well, my fear is that's going to happen. The only location that can possibly happen is in the very western end of the Panhandle, and I don't know how much benefit we're going to see. But anyway, that's what the Triumph board is looking at. What is transformational change? So there will be another meeting of this group, and I plan to attend that on January 11th. There has been no decision by the Triumph board to use the FGN, which is the Florida's Great Northwest, or any other entity. So everybody's waiting to see if the upcoming legislative session will make any changes to Triumph structure. That's something that we talked about at the meeting. It's certainly a possibility, but I don't think any bills have been submitted yet to reflect anything, but that is a concern of everybody. Well, Wakulla County and Franklin County, Cherie, I forget for Cherie's last name, I apologize, from Wakulla County myself, did say that if any presentation is going to be made on behalf of the 8 counties to the Triumph board, we wanted Mr. Chris Holley to represent us. Chris Holley is Gulf County's representative, and we want to make sure that we try as best as we can to do what I know that the consortium tried to do, but sort of failed, where other groups came in and took over a consortium and they spread the money out. We want to make sure that these 8 counties are all equally represented, and Chris Holley, as far as we're concerned, knows is the best presentation we can get on our end of the 8 counties. So we promoted Chris. Chris didn't turn it down at the time. He said it was premature for him to read anything. So we'll see what happens on January 11th.
Mr. Chairman, real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
Alan, on this Triumph thing, and you're speaking of whether any changes will be made at the legislative level, do you think that we should be proactive as 8 counties, and this is what I'm asking the next time y'all meet, January 11th,
Yes.
whether we should come together and all do a resolution opposing any changes to Triumph? I mean,
Well, let me
you got all
say,
this
we're all
consortium
opposed to
stuff
it, yeah.
going on and everything else, and if they make proposals to make changes, and then you react to that, I think it would be better for the 8 counties to come together and do a common resolution to be proactive, to try to get ahead of the curve before these changes are
I will
being
say,
proposed.
Senator Matt Gates' father, Senator Don Gates, was very adamant the last time we met that I believe this is his last term in the legislature. He was very confident that nothing would happen this session, that he was still there. He was the architect of the Triumph board, and he felt that he could control the legislature this session so that nothing happened this session. But he did say he was very worried about 2017 or 16-17 session, because there he will no longer be there, and he's afraid that the legacy may dry up pretty quickly.
But the 8 counties being proactive would actually
Sure.
give him some
It
support.
would give him some support,
So I'm
sure.
asking you at the next meeting, maybe you can
Absolutely.
bring that up and see.
Absolutely.
So that we can be proactive
Okay.
rather than reactive
Okay.
on that
Absolutely.
issue.
We
Absolutely.
feel like there don't need to be any changes.
And I don't think this board does, and probably not the other 8. What I'm saying is we need to be proactive on this and get it done before they get too far into this legislative
Okay,
session.
actually, there's a conference call this Thursday that I'm going to be on with Sheree Forum, so I'll ask them there on the conference call.
Yeah, I mean, and just see what their input is, but I think it'd be a lot better for all of us to be proactive rather than reactive on this issue.
If I can make a comment too, one of the legislators from Escambia County contacted me in Tallahassee at one of the committee hearings, said they might be having some sort of press conference with all the legislative delegation of those counties too. So if I hear anything, I'll let Alan and you on that.
And, you know, real quick, Laura, and I'll get off of this, but, you know, I do appreciate you, Alan, going to these meetings and representing us. I think this is what we envisioned when we put you in this position in your part-time retirement, semi-retirement, I guess you would say. And I appreciate it, and if you don't go, then we don't know what's going on, so I do appreciate you putting your time and effort into this.
No, this is what I see is important because, you know, there's a lot of money at stake here. And, you know, we are
A
fighting.
lot of people after it.
A lot of people after it, exactly.
And we're little.
And we're little, and it's gonna take.
Well, and since Smokey, I'm gonna allude to another thing. Regional Economic Agency, the Regional Economic Agency for this area was supposed to be Opportunity Florida. And I'm gonna get on the back little bandwagon a little bit, but I'm gonna get off of it quick. You know, 8 counties were supposed to be represented by Opportunity Florida. You had the Family Dollar Distribution Center come into Jackson County, did not help Franklin County. You had the Georgia Pacific that came into Liberty County, did not help Franklin County. When we asked them to put a single advertisement, plug or whatever on their computer, on their website for Apalachicola, Franklin County, which is a Franklin County airport, they still didn't do it. So that is the main reason. I know we've had some people that really want us to get back into Opportunity Florida. I don't see no reason why.
Well, I will tell you, Opportunity Florida was not invited to this meeting, because I think there are several counties that have the same attitude.
Well, that's the reason why you see them being pulled out too. I mean, if one county, if Opportunity Florida goes after something, it's gonna be after for the 8 counties. It's supposed to be for the 8 counties, but unless you're next to I-10 or something like that, and it's something that can really benefit them, they don't want you part of it. They just want your name that they can use, that leverage for Franklin County for them, you know. Anyway, that's just.
No, you're exactly right. They weren't invited to FGN. Whether FGN serves our interest in the end, we don't know yet, but we, you know, right now, the reason FGN is so involved is because they do have connections with the University of West Florida, which clearly is operating with the Triumph Board. So, you know, we'll just see how that works out. The second item is there is an organization, our first organizational meeting for the County Restore Advisory Committee, the RAC, at 5 p.m. tonight, and the Army, the Annex. So I'll be there, Dewberry will be there, and we will begin our organization.
I'll go ahead and organize.
We will. Item number 3, I attended an early restoration phase 5 NERDA public hearing last night, Monday, of December 14th in Panama City. In case there are any questions regarding the Island View restoration project. I will say I have a mistake here. The last night's meeting was only about 5 projects, of which Island View is one of them. There are many other projects that are going on in Franklin County, but they're not necessarily NERDA. And so if you all hear, and you will over time, that the state and federal agencies are doing things, they're doing some hydraulic restoration in Tate Sound State Forest, they're doing oyster reshelling, but those aren't NERDA money. Those are monies they got out of BP under other circumstances. And we'll see the impact and the benefit. But those weren't projects that you all knew about, that we knew about. They were things the state agencies thought were necessary or a benefit to their scheme of work, and so those are going to go forth over time. I will say that the NERDA project last night was met with great success. Everybody liked it. So we're still moving ahead with the Island View restoration. That saves Franklin County some money because we had to budget a certain amount of match for the restoration. Now we don't have to use that money. So while it slows it down a little bit, it does save the taxpayers about $25,000 of local money because we'll use NERDA money instead. The only other sentence I'm going to make on this is that, you know, this was called early restoration money, but I'll give you an idea of what early restoration means in terms of BP funds. It took 5 years for early restoration money to come through and 5 years to develop projects. So this process is just so long, it is painful. And I'm afraid that the rest of the BP money is going to follow that same suit. It's just going to be a long haul.
But we really did good with the early restoration projects, Alan, because
We did very well.
in the case of Exxon Valdez, It was probably 15 years.
Yes,
10
but there
years
was
before
a
they
early
got
restoration.
started on NERDA projects, so, you know, and of course, BP benefited from doing the early restoration in their, some of the ways that they did that, but, you know, I appreciate being able to move forward with some of the stuff. If not, we would just be starting today, we'll be 5 years from now implementing some of those projects.
That's correct. And I will say another way we did well, Franklin County did pretty well in the NERDA projects. And we have a number of projects that are ahead of the Island View, but we probably have 5 or 6 projects in Franklin County that's NERDA funded, and some of the other counties around us don't even have 2 or 3. So we did pretty well because we have a great environmental asset that they want to assist us on. And the last thing is Senator Nelson has sent out a letter on his letterhead to the Attorney General regarding the settlement. Senator Nelson, one of our Florida State's U.S. Senators, is critical of the settlement. He wants more money. I don't know if this will make a difference in the outcome, but he has sent a letter saying that he thinks that there should be a much higher basis for the Clean Water Act fine than what was agreed to.
They're again being reactive rather than being proactive. So I think it's a little bit late now. It's just a matter of signing off on the paperwork. That's where the negotiations, and so negotiations went.
All of us, anybody have any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Alan? You have a Merry Christmas,
Merry
Alan.
Christmas, Alan.
All right, Mr. Michael Morone.
I will say that I got my Christmas present last night for the first time in my life. I drove from the Gulf Coast Community College or State College all the way back to Apalachicola. I didn't hit one red light. The whole way, every light turned green. I thought I had a transponder behind me somewhere. Every light turned green.
You were driving 50 miles an hour.
I was driving 42 miles an hour and I went all the way across Panama City in 10 minutes. I was stunned.
Only you drive 50 to do that too.
Well, the speed limit is 45.
Follow Highway Patrol, no. Commissioners, item 1, inform the board that Chairman Massey, Commissioner Sanders, Attorney Schuler, and I attended the unveiling of the Camp Gordon Johnson historic sign. During the event, the Board of County Commissioners were praised for their support of Camp Gordon Johnson, especially with the proposed construction of the new facility. I have a picture there in your agenda packet that showed some people standing in front of the sign. Item 2, Miss Kathy Valentine is here. She's the Transportation Director of Gulf County ARC and Transportation. She's here to update the board on the Transportation Disadvantaged Service they started providing here. As you know, Gulf County ARC and Transportation has been providing the TD service in Franklin County since December 1st. Kathy?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I did want to introduce myself. Thank you for the introduction there. And just wanted to give you an update on the status of the Transportation Disadvantaged Services in Franklin County. In November, Gulf County ARC and Transportation was selected by the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged to serve as the Emergency Community Transportation Coordinator in Franklin County for 1 year. It was effective on December 1st, as Michael said, and it goes through November 30th of 2016. Our primary purpose as the Franklin County CTC is to serve the transportation disadvantaged residents of Franklin County by transporting them to dialysis treatments, doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, etc. And getting set up for the December 1st effective date, my first priority was to make sure that we were on target to transport the existing Franklin County dialysis patients and any other riders that were going to life-sustaining treatments. And we did well with that. We're currently transporting dialysis riders Monday through Saturday to the DaVita Center over in Port St. Joe at Sacred Heart. And we're taking one St. George Island rider to Panama City for cancer treatment 5 days a week. Then in addition to that, we're taking many other riders to a variety of appointments. From December 1st through December 14th, yesterday, we provided 86 trips to 22 different Franklin County riders. My second priority was to hire drivers. Our drivers are required by state law to go through a pretty rigorous credentialing and training process in order to qualify to drive. From the beginning, I was committed to hiring Franklin County residents to fill the driver positions in Franklin County. And I'm happy to say that I have hired one. I have 2 others that are already in the process and going through the credentialing and training, and we hope to have all of them on the road starting sometime next week. The next priority was our vehicles. We currently have 3 vehicles dedicated to Franklin County residents and expect to have 2 more in place by the end of the year. And all of these vehicles are able to transport both ambulatory passengers and passengers in wheelchairs. Our goal is to grow this service so that we can serve the transportation disadvantaged residents of Franklin County. And I'm here today to ask for your help and support in doing that. I would have some flyers that are available for anybody who needs any. I have my contact information available, and we're here to help. We want to do everything we can to make this the best service possible for the residents here. So I'm open for any questions or comments or suggestions.
Okay, question?
Yes, if I might,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. One thing real quick, is your services have been listed on our county website so that the citizens know where to call if there's disadvantaged transportation service, Mike?
No, somebody can get that done.
We need to get that done.
Yeah.
Number 2, over the years, one of the main complaints that I've gotten quite a bit of is people having to go to Lake City, your veterans, going to Lake City or needing to go to Shands, and the problem over the past has been, well, we can't take you today, but ma'am, that's when my appointment is set up for. And especially when you get to veterans and trying to get into Lake City and different places, they're so backlogged with, it takes you 2 months to get an appointment. Well, if they can't get transportation to that appointment for one reason or another, and then it takes them 2 more months to set up another appointment, and scheduling that with being able to have a ride on that day of that appointment. And I know that's a logistical nightmare for you to coordinate, but these are just some of the problems over the last 10 years that I've sat on this board. Is mainly been with our veterans and trying to get them to these appointments and these backlogs in your veteran hospitals and stuff. Is trying to get them there on the day they have. The doctor sets an appointment for them. They can't say, well, I can't come this month, I can be there the first Tuesday of the next month. I mean, the doctor tells them when to come, they have to go, and then if they can't get a ride, then they call us as board members. We got issues here, and I know it's a logistical nightmare for you to handle, but I'm just giving you an update on some of the problems that have been brought to my attention, and I know you have a hard job to do, but just highlighting some of those issues that are constantly called into me about the disadvantaged transportation.
I appreciate your comments there. I can speak for what we do in Gulf County right now, and we take veterans to Lake City, Gainesville, to Pensacola, to Mariana, Tallahassee. We have probably several trips a week going. So that is one of the things that I'm very, very much committed to getting back up and running here in Franklin, because I've heard some of the same comments that you just brought up too.
And I think the organizational structure of, if you have an appointment on the 2nd of November, don't wait till the 1st of November to call us.
Exactly.
Call us ahead of time so that we can schedule you in and maybe consolidate some of these trips. And it's all about the structure and how it's structured and getting that information out to the public, which is what I was trying to say to Mr. Morone, let's get this on the website where, and a lot of people may not have access to computers to get to the website. But having that information out there, we may need to put something in the local newspaper or something, let them know we have a new service and just a write-up as to what we're talking about scheduling. If you have something, a month and a half ahead of time, you can make the call, let you be aware of that, and try to get some of these issues worked out for our veterans and our elderly citizens, disabled citizens of this county.
One thing I'm also going to try very hard to do is, since Gulf and Franklin County are very close and they will be going in the same direction to a lot of appointments, is to be able to hopefully coordinate some of those, so that if we're taking a Gulf County person on the same day, that we can take a Franklin County person, and that just makes it all better, work better for everybody involved. So,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Franklin County.
thank you.
Have you determined that there are unmet needs now that we have in the county? You've only been there a few days, I know.
Based on the feedback that I have gotten, yes, there is. So that I believe some of the comments that I've heard are that different areas of the county were underserved, that because of just the distance, that there were, I guess mainly the eastern end of the county was not being served as well as maybe they should have been. But we're committed to making sure that any resident that qualifies is going to get to where they need to go.
Yeah, we had a lot of problems trying to get them to dialysis in Tallahassee, and Matter of fact, there was a lady that couldn't make it, I had to pick her up, she had to be there. I mean, her dialysis at a certain time.
I encourage each and every one of you, if you ever run into any problems with specific situations, I'm just a phone call away, so please, please, please call me. I want to know about it. We'll do everything we can.